Hey YouTube, this is Trish Picker coming at you with a chicken noodle soup. I'm going to do my chicken in the oven at 350 degrees. I'll season it all up. I'll tell you the spices that I'm going to, and seasonings I'm going to do in the oven. I use a stick and a half of real butter. I use real garlic. I use poultry seasonings. I use thyme. I use rosemary. And lemon pepper. I don't know why, but lemon pepper makes it taste better, but I put some fresh onions in the bottom and I put some fresh garlic on the top. I don't really like to use a lot of garlic powder. So I'm going to take this chicken, rinse it all up, make sure that there's no inside pieces of chicken in there, and then we'll move it to the pan and we'll go from there. Hold on one second, okay? We can get back to the seasonings that we want in the chicken, because the butter and everything will be melted and all that stuff like that. And then you take the butter and you pour it over just like that. Okay, there you go, just like that. That's all you do on that part, okay? Then we move all this extra stuff out of the way, okay? And what I do is I take that little thing that came, let's move back over here. The little, let me move you down a little bit so I can show you what I'm talking about. That little container that I have for that spice grinder, there's my thyme. I put just a little bit because this isn't one of my husband's favorite spices. I mean, he doesn't mind it. I can't say he hates it, but I guess he's saying he loves thyme now. But there's sometimes it just depends like on what I'm putting it on, okay? Sometimes he's never home when I'm doing stuff, so I think that's what it is mostly, is he doesn't know what I'm put on stuff all the time. So I just put some lemon pepper. Then I'm going to put a good amount of rosemary because I know he loves rosemary. That's one of his favorites. We eat that on steak every time we make a steak, boy. If you haven't had rosemary on a steak before, you need to give it a shot, okay? And make sure that you salt and pepper your chicken or any kind of poultry really well. So I'm going to put some salt in there, and I'm going to put some salt directly on, so it gives the meat itself kind of like a little bit of a hard exterior. I'm going to do it onto the chicken too. You can do this with turkey too if you would like, but I don't do my turkey like what I'm showing y'all, okay? My turkey tradition took me about 10 years to get that tradition out of my mother, that recipe. So that one's like been handed down from my mother. So it's a secret family recipe. Not a lot of people, even my kids, will say, Mom, that's a secret family recipe. We want the recipe, but you don't give it to us. So, and I tell them, nope, you might get it when I'm dead, but until then, nope, can't do it. Okay, now let's move you back up so you can see what I'm doing here. Okay. It's going to get noisy a little bit because of this spice grinder. Sorry about that. I didn't realize my spice grinder was already dead. Guess it didn't have that much juice in it. Gotta plug her in. Okay. Then what I'll do is I'll move it to a little bowl. Excuse all that banging and fussing and ruckus. Oh, let's put some spotlight on this bad boy here. Okay. And we'll put some more pepper because it doesn't smell like it has enough pepper. Even though I put pepper on there directly. Still don't smell like there's enough. But I'm a pepper kind of gal. So, and I love my peppermint. So, and I'm going to add a little bit more extra salt. Okay. Stir it around. And then sprinkle it all on the top of your chicken. And the oven's already at temperature, so all I have to do now is just make sure all the sides get all seasoned up. And what I do is I take a little bit, and this is just me, a little bit. Because once the butter starts melting in here, it'll be, okay, and then the rest goes in the crock pot, the rest of this chicken broth. I suggest you shake up the chicken broth. That particular one I didn't. And I'll switch out the pans because I'm going to put this one in the oven. Okay? Oh, let me get some onions too. I forgot that. Don't want to do that because these won't give the same flavor. Oh, goodness. Having one of those days. Don't mind me. I know everybody has them, so don't mind me at all about that. Then I take about, I'd say about 1/4 of an onion. And it's probably not even 1/4 of an onion. Like, it's literally like this little bit. Just to add in the oven. For depth of seasoning in it. So let's get that all in there. So you put a little bit, and you can also put some inside the body of it like that, you know, just like that. When it comes to how you like to roast your chicken, there's no like set rules. Like I told you, just make sure that everything's to temperature, you know. Poultry is kind of tricky on a temperature game. You know what I mean? If you don't know your temperatures or what your safety ranges and all that stuff is, just get a cooking thermometer. It's a good investment to get. So then we put the lid, which I did something with that lid. Oh, there it is. Okay. Then bam. We'll be back to break this all up. Let's move this forward and move on with the vegetables. And I put the same seasonings that I put in the chicken in the pot. The soup itself, just in case for some reason it didn't take it very well. But I don't put as much onions because I've been over onioning everything lately. I don't know what that is either, because I think it's the way I've been cutting the onions. I think I've been watching too much Food Network. Because I've learned how to cut onions at a better angle where it makes it more, you get more for your buck, more bang for your buck. Okay, so there's the onions, and the egg noodles. What I do on the egg noodles, I have them out, but I probably will not put the egg noodles in. I'm an egg noodle cook on the side. Put as much egg noodles as you want kind of person. I don't like to have over too much egg noodle and not enough of everything else. So I'm that gal. And plus I don't want my egg noodles getting soggy. So, you know, I've kind of learned some tips and tricks on certain things from either other YouTubers or from the Food Network. And sometimes they're good. Sometimes, you know, I'm still curious, so I look it up on the Googler or a recipe book. You know what I mean? You gotta be curious. You gotta cook curious. If you don't, you're not learning. You're just gonna sit and be sitting in limbo forever about how you feel about never getting out of your box of regularity or what you're willing to eat or willing to try things, those lines of things. So but you have to be willing to grow and learn with everything that you do, because I never thought that I would be able to cook for, you know, several people for the holidays, or for even when I worked into the convalescent hospitals or nursing homes or whatever you want to call them. You know, they've changed the names of them so much, because back when I worked in them, they were still considered nursing homes, convalescent hospitals, things like that. So I got the onions in there. And this is one thing. It's not a debate, and we don't even debate it. And this is what I do with the other half of this butter. Okay, I think it makes your soup more rich and creamy. There you go. Throw it in your soup. Okay, that's that. Add spices. And some people will put a bay leaf, but I don't have any in their chicken noodle soup. Okay, but I don't have one, so I'm not really going to be fussing about it. You know, if it's something I don't have, I just keep moving along. Just keep moving it along, because I know that it does sometimes make a difference. I do have to say, It does make a difference sometimes. And typically on these baby carrots, I buy the bag and I just throw it in there. But I have learned that over time that some people, they're too big, okay? Or they just are not pleasing to the eye, okay? Or they don't cook evenly. Whatever the case may be, okay? So it's, if you like them that big, leave them that big. But if you don't feel that they look that pleasurable, you know, because you eat with your eyes first. So you want it to be pleasing to the eyes. Because if it doesn't look good, you're not going to be wanting to put it in your mouth, okay? So, but I will be putting this vegetables, all that stuff on the crock pot. Let me shake up this last bit, and then we'll be back when the chickens. Let me put this chicken broth, and then we'll be back to debone the chicken and everything. I'll show you how I do that. And put it in here, because I don't use any of the bones. So we'll be back when the chicken comes out of the oven. Hey YouTube, this is Trish. I come back at you with the chicken noodle soup. I roasted the chicken in the oven for 3 hours at 350 degrees with all that seasonings, so you can see how that comes out. Now we're going to cut her up, but I'm going to debone her first before we cut it up. I'm going to cut her straight in half, but I try to do it all at the same time so I don't get all the stuff all over the place. So what I do is I transplant it like that. And like pieces that are like this size, I just drop in the pan. Certain piece sizes, gristle and things like that, that don't go in there. So let's move you over so you can see what I'm doing to this chicken here. Move you down a little bit so you can check her out. I'm going to try to stay out of the, keep my hands out of the way so you can see what I'm doing here. You're going to hear my tiptoe and pattern of my dog under my feet here. Sorry about that, guys. He hears food or me cooking anything, he comes and running. That's just my dog. But he's like a little member of my family, so, you know, everybody that has an animal understands about their animals. Let me get a bowl for these bones and things so I can get them out of the way, because it kind of gets me a little bit leery that I'm going to drop them in the oh, yep, like that. Soup, and that's definitely not what I want to do. Okay. So, yeah. Like the spine and things like that, I'm not into that at all. And that's one part of the chicken that I always have the most difficulty is the leg and the wing, because see this little pin bone right here? You want to make sure you get that out, okay? But all this crispy skin like this, leave it just like that. Don't think that that's not juicy and good, because it is. Let me get my fingers out of the vision of what you're trying to see me do here. And then once I get all this meat in here, I'll crank up the heat up on my crock pot. And like I said, I'll do my noodles separate so they don't mush out. But I have quite a bit of another half a another half a chicken to put in here, so let me get this half in here, and then we'll get, oh, I didn't get the wing. See, I told you, like that. I won't put that in there, that little tip of the wing, I won't put that in there, because that's one thing that I strongly worry about is people choking on those bones. I have a phobia of it. And there's that other little bone. There's the other bone. You know, you have to, I don't know if it's just something that I grew up having a concern about. Some people don't worry about that. They just throw it all in a pot and boil the whole chicken and then, you know, add their vegetables and everything. Well, me on the other hand, I'm not that girl. I would rather make sure it's all deboned and everything. Let me get a spoon, because I want to make sure I get this juice too, because that's the other thing, is I want to make sure I get all the juice. See, there's another bone that I would not have caught if I wasn't going through this. See, there's another part that, ugh. If you don't go through it, see, there's the spine right there. You gotta make sure you get those bones out. But you don't want to leave like the meat you don't want to leave in the pot, but you don't want to put those spine bones, because when you cook them, the cartilage and everything that's in between the spine will break down. So you, if you don't know those things, you wouldn't, you know, be looking for them. So it turns into a very hearty soup, and then I'll show you what it looks like when it's all done. It doesn't look like it makes a lot, but I think this chicken, which I didn't tell you in the beginning, I think this chicken was a 2-pound chicken. That's typically what the size that I buy is a 2-pound chicken. 2.5 pound chicken. Sometimes I'll get a bigger one. It just depends on what, you know, is on sale. Because, you know, like I said, I don't make no bones about the fact that I was raised in a home where we made things last, and if chicken was what was on sale, that's what we made it out of. So, or whatever meat was on sale, that's what we had. So, you know, a lot of people don't think of it that way. They think of it, oh, well, it's chicken. Well, I actually love some chicken. So it never bothered me none. I mean, I don't particularly care for, I would rather have a homemade chicken noodle soup than a can, because sometimes some of the canned soups are a little bit on the saltier side. It just depends on the brand that you buy too, okay? And I'll get all this extra, which I'll show you how to do that once we get done cutting this, okay? Okay, that's that. All right. Let me move that back a little bit. I can see that bone right there. I don't even have to really, like, some of the bones like really stand out, you know, like the leg bone, obviously, you know, it's a leg, but it's that pin bone. There we go. What I call the pin bone. That's not exactly what it's called. I know that there's a different name to it, but I can't think of the name of what that bone is called, or if it's actually a tendon. I don't know. If somebody knows it, you can put it in the description below. I won't take offense to it. I'll actually just know for further note what it is. I'm willing to learn. Oh, there's some more of those spine pieces. Ugh. Yeah, no. We gotta take those out. Nope. Found it. Yeah, see, these ones broke up real bad on this side compared to the other side. Oh, there it is. Yeah, see, there. A little bit. And see, that's the difference between roasting it and boiling it too, is when you roast it, the bones kind of stay like that. When you boil it, sometimes they can get too soft. Oh yeah, that goes there. Get too soft, and sometimes they can get mushy, and it's harder to find them. Okay, so I don't know why. You know, like I said, everybody just was taught differently. My mother has done this particular recipe both ways, and she used to ask us kids, you know, which way do you like it better? And then when I started cooking it, and I don't make it besides in the winter time, because I figured that it's a winter meal. I mean, you can make it anytime you want. Let me use get my hands out there. I gotta, you guys can let me know, you know, what you think about that in the comments below. Would you make chicken noodle soup any time of the year? Because to me, that, you know, like, I like making roasts and things like that, because I like the summertime that is more like steaks and potato salad and things like that, you know, hot links. I really don't, I prefer chili dogs over just regular plain hot dogs, unless they're on barbecue. And I can feel that bone. Where's he at? There it is. See? That's why I usually use my fingers. But Let me go through this one more time, but I'm gonna put a set of gloves on. Actually, it's cooled down enough. Okay. Okay. Let me wash my hands real quick because I'll be done with that. Part of cutting it up and all that stuff. And then I'll show you how I get the last of the drippings out of the pan. But I did want to do something real quick. Okay, so I can test it out. Okay, and the rest of this will just automatically go into the pot, okay? So that you can see. And I didn't let none of it go to waste except for the bones. Okay? So let's move this out of the way. And you can see, because once you add the noodles to it, but of course, like I said, I do my noodles on the side. Everybody does their noodles differently, okay? Everybody does their noodles a little bit different. Okay. I'm gonna put my burner on low. Get a little whisk. And because it is just necessarily butter, gotta get a pot holder because this just came out of the oven too. Because all I'm doing at this point so you can see what I'm doing. Is just deglazing the pan. It's called deglazing a pan. I've seen it done a couple times, and I actually wanted to try it because they said that's the easiest way to clean out a pan is to deglaze it. And if I had some heavy whipping cream, you could put it in there, or some flour, and let it brown, and then it would make a gravy. Well, we don't really need the gravy. I just wanted to deglaze the pan so that it would brown the butter a little bit more, even though it's been in the oven for as long as it has, okay? So, there we go. And then what I'll do is I'll get all those insides out. Put that into the sink. And then move this up. Sorry. So you can see the soup now with the carrots and the celery and the onions. And then I'll put it back on the crock pot, turn it up to high, and probably cook it for 4 to 5 hours. And like I said, I'll cook my egg noodles on the side, and then I'll make some biscuits tonight. So when I get that far, I'll bring you guys back in when I get ready to do the noodles and put it all together. All right. Bye. We'll be back. Hey YouTube, I'm back. I made my noodles, put them my crock pot. My soup is now done. I'm going to drain off my noodles. The biscuits are done. And you'll be able to take a peek at everything. And I'll show you how I put mine together. Okay? So let's get the top out of the way. And how I throw mine together, okay? I wanted you to see how I do it from beginning to end. Okay. So there's the noodles. There's my ladle for the, and I want you to see how that soup came out. Okay. And then there's the noodles. So I'm gonna bring you over here to where the bowls are. Lower you down just a pinch so you can see how I put these bowls together. I do them one at a time so you don't miss out nothing, okay? Because I want you to see how I do it. If you wanted to have saltine crackers instead of biscuits, or cornbread, you choose the side that you want. Most people do saltine crackers or cornbread. I just happen to have the biscuits, and I put a big old ladle of the meat, and I know I just ladled some of everything on my counter there. Oh, see, did it again. I know I'm a little bit messy with that. There we go. Okay. And usually this will be made for 2 nights, okay? So, there's bowl number 1. Now I gotta get a towel and wipe up my mess of a mistake I made. Let's get that out of the way. And usually I take the bowl to it. So let's do this other bowl. So we can go down a little bit more. And of course you're gonna hear a pitter patter at my feet because that's just my dog. He gets too excited. He just knows how I cook. When he had teeth, he ate the meat more often. And I know there's going to be a lot of talk about that, but I kind of spoiled my little baby. He gets him a purse, so he's actually, you know, everybody that has an animal knows you treat their animals like their children. And in my case, I'm gonna do the same thing. I love my children, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that I don't love my children. It's just, they're adults now. But, and then we'll get on these biscuits. And I love buying the grand biscuits. And with the grand biscuits though, I will say, this is one thing that I won't do, is I really would prefer not to chintz on the butter on the grand biscuits because they're so delicious that I think they're worth the real butter. So that I will not give no bones about sacrificing buying some real butter. It is expensive, you know. Some people only use real butter. I understand that. But I buy it for very few things. Baking and I use it for cooking. Okay. And now I'm going to go take my husband's plate and we're going to have a taste test in just a second. So give me 1 second so I can go be right back with you. Hey YouTube, we're back for our taste test. For my chicken noodle soup. I almost left you and we didn't even try it. What the heck was I thinking? I can't do that. But just remember, if you don't like this recipe and you want to do just a vegetable soup, just put any vegetables that you want. Use vegetable broth. Put your seasonings in it. Put it all in the crock pot. Turn it on to high. Cook it for like 6 hours. Come home. 6 to 8 hours. Come home. Make some noodles and throw it in there. Or just throw it all in there at the same time. And then have some saltine crackers on the side with it. So, let's get in here and try this. This is mighty delicious, though. I think you should give this recipe a try. Remember, if you have nothing nice to say to somebody or about something, don't say anything at all. Ta-ta for now.